Hello, and welcome to the No Wrong Notes podcast, a show hosted by me, Veronica Kokis, holistic voice teacher and singer just like you. Grab a cup of tea, relax, and sit back as we discuss all things singing technique, mindset tips, and more so you can show up as the most confident and creative singer you can be. Hey y'all, and welcome to this week's super exciting interview episode with Lara Chapman. Originally from Switzerland, super cool, I know. Lara Chapman is an award-winning singer and songwriter turned viral artist coach. I am serious, y'all. Check out her team, Voxtape Studios, on Instagram and TikTok. They are huge. And together with the coaches on her team at Voxtape Studios, she teaches singers and songwriters to help them feel comfortable and excited to share their voices and stories with the world. In this podcast episode, we discuss songwriting. And I'm so excited to have a guest on here to talk about this subject because I have been wanting for a long time to talk about this with someone. Because in this episode, Lara talks about her journey as a singer-songwriter and how her and her staff have coached songwriters over the years. We discuss the behind the scenes of how singers like Sabrina Carpenter and other artists make their songs in the studio, which will probably surprise you. It is really, really not that hard, you guys. I know you might be shaking your head, you might be like super skeptical, but keep listening. And she also shares how you can get started sharing your own story through song. Lara also has a special offer for my listeners. Yeah, that is you. You can get Lara's songwriting framework PDF that Lara uses with her own students to help them write their songs and that she used to record her own songs for free. That's right, faux free. We love free over here, guys. You can get your PDF and get started with your songwriting today using the link and my code. Okay, be sure to use that code because that's how you get it for free. That is linked in the show description. All right, enough of my yapping. Let's hear from Lara herself. Welcome to the No Wrong Notes podcast, Lara Chapman. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Veronica. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So I would love it if you could tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are in your career as a singer and vocal coach.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, when I was born, no, I'm just kidding. But I did music my entire life. I literally have never had a job. Very privileged to say I have never had a job. In high school, I remember telling my parents, like, Mom, Dad, I want to have a job because all my friends have a job. That's what you do when you are a young adult or teenager or whatever. And my parents were like, no, Larry, you focus on your music. You go, take your piano lessons, guitar lessons, voice lessons, dance classes. Like, you go do all that stuff and we'll give you an allowance so that you still can do things with your friends and you still have like some money to do something with them, like go to the movies or whatever, right? And so obviously very fortunate to have parents that were able to do that. But in Switzerland, I grew up in Switzerland. Maybe I should start with that. I grew up in Switzerland and moved to the US for college. And so in Switzerland, when you go to high school, you already pick a major there like you do in college here. So my major was music and my main instrument was voice. So I was already kind of doing like, not a college program in high school, but again, I had way more music classes than anything else, but I still had math and German and English and French and chemistry and all that stuff that I literally remember nothing of, but that's fine. So yeah, I was always doing music. And I knew from day one, like one day I'm going to live in the US and I'm going to have a career as a singer, period. That's just what my life is going to be. And so when I graduated high school, I then moved to the US and I first studied musical theater, believe it or not. And yeah, girl realized she is not a musical theater girly. It was not a good fit. Like, I had a great time, don't get me wrong, and I learned a lot. The most valuable thing that I learned, like for me personally, at musical theater school was the importance of telling stories through songs. Because, I always just love to sing. And I didn't grow up speaking English. I grew up speaking German, but all the songs that I sang were in English. So I didn't really understand what I was singing about. So I never cared about what the story is that I am telling, that I'm singing. I just cared about, are there high notes? Yeah. All right, let's go, baby. Right? Like, I just wanted to sound good. That is all I cared about, not really what is the story that I'm trying to tell here? What's the emotion I'm trying to convey? And that truly, honestly, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that and to say that, but that didn't register with me that that stuff's important until musical theater school. So that was like my biggest takeaway as a pop girly in musical theater school. And so, I did a 2-year program. It was called the New York Film Academy, the school. And so I did a 2-year program there, little 18-year-old Lara living alone in New York, moving across the pond, right, from Switzerland to New York. I was like, yaddy, 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 like having a great time. I loved it. I miss New York dearly. But anyways, I finished my 2-year program and then very much was like, absolutely not. I am not going to be doing musical theater. This is not the world for me. Literally every one of my teachers was like, why are you here? You are a pop girl. You need to go have an artist career, not a musical theater career. But they're going to ask you to come to Broadway once you have a pop career because they do that now, right? Like for short, like little residencies essentially. But anyways, I wouldn't want to do that even if they asked me to, because oh my gosh, it's scary to be on a live stage, like in theater, like not just singing, but also acting and like, oh my God. Okay. Anyways, besides the point, I knew I needed to do pop and I needed to also find a way to stay in the country because, again, Swiss citizen, not American citizen over here. I mean, now I am, but back then I wasn't, right? So needed to figure out a way to stay in the country. And the easiest way to do that is just to go to school because then you get a student visa. And I was like, all right, I applied to the Berklee College of Music, got in, moved to Boston, and did 3 semesters on campus in 1 year. So they let you do 3 semesters in 1 year. So I did a summer, a fall, and a spring semester. And during the spring semester, took a trip down to Nashville to meet up with a manager, and I ended up signing with him pretty much like right after the trip. And I, finished my spring semester, but then moved all of my stuff down to to Nashville, from Boston to Nashville. But my parents were very much like, no, Lara, we love you and we want you to pursue this stuff, but you have to finish your degree. They just wanted me to have a degree, just like as a backup, just to be safe. So I finished Berklee online and still got my degree a couple years later, like 2 years later or something like that. But I lived in Nashville and, was writing original music, recording that music, releasing that music, and, just kind of living that artist life. And was doing that for a couple years and, saw like quite a bit of success in like not like, oh my gosh, millions of streams and now this is a pop star or nothing like that. But, I was able to kind of like put my name out there and get my songs on the radio. I did TV interviews, magazine interviews. I didn't really build a crazy following, like at least not comparative to what you can do today, right? But won songwriting contests as well, which was really cool. And that really put me on the map, these songwriting contests. That's how labels started knocking on my door that wanted to sign me. I didn't sign with any of them. It wasn't right, but there at least was interest. And they asked me to play at one of the biggest or the biggest music festival in the United States, which was really cool too. And so, the songwriting contest really is kind of what put me on the map. My song White Lies won in the category pop in the John Lennon songwriting contest. And so that was really cool. And then, sorry, this is getting really long, but
No, you're good. You're good. Well, I think it's really helpful to kind of understand your story. And I think that for listeners and other singers out there, it's really cool to hear just other singer stories, songwriter stories, understanding that there's just not one route to
Yeah.
success, because I do
Yeah.
think that success is very subjective, especially when it comes
100%.
to music. It doesn't just have to look like one thing all the time. So I think it's really helpful for listeners to hear some of that. Sorry, but you were saying about, your songwriting and that sort of thing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of, I guess the story ends there as far as, the artist thing, because then, COVID hit. And I think we can all remember that time. And I had a tour planned actually, and had to cancel the tour because everything got canceled. It was supposed to start in April of 2020, and that never happened. And already for like a year before then, so like pretty much all of 2019, I was kind of going through this identity crisis, if we want to call it that, because I was living the artist life. I was writing and recording and performing. Oh my gosh, so many performances. Ugh. Like I was doing so much stuff, and I kind of didn't love it. And that really confused me, I think is the right word, because that's all I ever wanted to do, right? Since I was a kid, I said I was going to do this, and now I'm doing it and I don't like it. Like I loved the writing, I loved the recording, but pretty much everything else, which is the majority of what you do as an artist, is everything else. I'm like, my gosh, I hate this. I don't want to do this. Now, this is also when I met my now husband, and so my priorities started shifting as well. It very much was like, no, this is my person, and I want to spend as much time as humanly possible with this person. And if I am a touring artist and he is a full-time engineer running his own business, when am I ever going to see him? Because the summer of 2019, I never saw him because he was working 9 to 5. I was working nights and weekends, and he would be my roadie. So I would actually get to see him, but I would perform and he would be sitting somewhere, and, helping me set up my stuff and tear down my stuff. But like, I was like, no, I don't want this. This is not it. So when COVID hit, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Like, you don't have to do, like, it gave me permission to not do this anymore because I already didn't want to do it anymore, but it gave me permission to stop it because I was afraid of what my parents were going to think, what everybody else was going to think, that they would say something like, oh, she wasn't good enough. And so she quit. Right. But that's not really what it was. It was just, I didn't want to do it anymore. So at this point, I was already teaching voice lessons and some songwriting coaching on the side as well, but never really advertised it much. Or, I was just teaching out of my home, a couple local people, had some people on Skype from Switzerland and all that stuff. But when COVID hit, I was like, all right, we're going to go into this coaching full time because I actually really enjoy this. I loved creating these one-on-one connections with people, and it brought me equally as much joy when they were seeing success as when I was seeing success. Probably even more. Like some of our students now, they have gone on to, be signed with record labels and things like that. And I'm like, wow, like I am so proud of you and so happy for you. And this is truly your success is my success, right? And it makes me so happy. And also, I'm so glad I don't have to be a rock star. Right? I was like, oh my God, no, 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 no. Let me be at home with my husband and my 3 cats. Like, I'm happy here. But, anyways, so 2020 is when I decided to go full out with coaching, voice and songwriting, and built Voxtape Studios, my studio. There's my little sign right there if you're watching. But yeah, Voxtape Studios is the name of my studio. Built that, launched it in August of 2020, and have really grown it since then. Had a couple videos go viral, and that really is what put us on the map. We've worked with hundreds of singers one-on-one in lessons because it's not just me now. I have 4 coaches on my team that do vocal and songwriting coaching as well, and just artist coaching in general, in the contemporary scene and musical theater. I have some musical theater coaches too. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here, I guess.
That is so exciting and really, really cool. And I think that, like I was saying before, I think that, you know, I mean, I don't know if this happens to you and your teachers, but I'll have plenty of people come and like sign up for the trial lesson with me, and they like have never sung in their life before or even like written music before, and they're like, you know, can I sing? Like, can you do this as an adult? Can you, write music? And like, songwriting is not like something that I really advertise. Like, sometimes I'll like mentor students with songwriting, but I think there's this idea that, you know, if you don't have all of the experience that someone like you has had, that you just can never learn those things, or like you have to have natural talent, or you have to have like started when you were a kid working on this stuff. And I feel like it's just not true. And there are so many different paths to, accomplishing your singing goals or songwriting goals. And so I think it's really, really cool how you and your staff are helping all of these people. And, I can relate to so much of your story too, where I thought I wanted to be this opera singer. And I was like, I then met my now husband as well. And I was like, wait, I was like, I actually don't know that I want to live out of a suitcase all the time.
Yeah.
And so
These darn men. Oh my gosh. Messing up all of our
men.
plans.
um, but I think it's really, really cool how so many of the people that you guys work with go on to, record their own music and put their own music out there. And I would love to sort of hear more about, the cohort that you guys are starting soon. And I would love to hear kind of what inspired you to create the masterclass, how to write songs that you'll actually like, which is kind of, I think this is like the intro to that cohort, right?
Yes, yes. So, okay, the cohort. Why did I decide to do it? So, pretty much since 2022, again, we started Voxtapes in 2020. In 2022, we more officially started coaching not just voice, but also songwriting, right? Because I really believe that, and again, I learned this at musical theater school, right? Like singing is about expressing yourself. And yes, you can fully express yourself when you sing somebody else's stuff. Because, when you listen to a certain song and like it hits you in the feels and you're a friggin' mess and you're just crying and you don't even know why sometimes, like Slipping Through My Fingers by ABBA is one of those songs. I don't have a child. Why am I crying? Right? But anyways, there's obviously great ways that you can fully connect to a song that somebody else has written. But there's something really special when you sing your own words and your own melodies. It teaches you so much more about music in general, like song structure and melodic structure and rhythm and, you know, singable lyrics and words, right? Like all of that stuff is you learn so much about music. And that doesn't necessarily mean like you learn music theory and like this is an A and this is an A minor chord and like not necessarily that, but just like intuitively learn about music and understand it without crazy music theory terms. Now, obviously, you can do that, and we can help you with that. Like again, we are all graduates from at least a bachelor's degree, if not a master's degree, and all in music. So we have a lot of music theory knowledge, but you don't necessarily need it. But anyways, so when you write your own songs as a singer, it helps you connect more deeply. It helps you find your own voice because I don't know if you ever come across that with a student where they ask you like, hey, how do I find my own voice? How do I find my true voice, my natural voice? I always feel like I'm copying somebody else. Like I feel like I'm copying this person who's singing this song. And I get that question all the time. And, I usually say like, don't worry about it. You're always using your voice. You cannot use somebody else's voice to sing. You might be copying stylistic things that they are doing. So we can look at that and make sure you're aware of what it is you're doing. And when you're aware, you can stop it, right? But the easiest way to go about it is by just singing something nobody else has ever sung before you. Then you cannot copy that. And how do you do that? Well, by writing your own song. Right. So this is just a great way to find your own sound. And that's why we started songwriting coaching for singers specifically. And then also if you want to have a career in this music scene as a contemporary artist, and that is like not musical theater and not opera, but if you want to do pop, R&B, country, soul, rock, like any of the above, then that means you kind of need to know how to write a song. Like one of our students, Billy, for example, she got signed with a label. When she started with us, she had never really sung in public before. And now she's signed with a label, but because she writes songs, not because she's the most amazing vocalist this planet has ever seen, but because she's good. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like she's Celine Dion or whatever, right? But like she can sing, she writes great music, and she has great branding. That's why she got signed, not because she's an amazing vocalist. But again, songwriting is a big part of that. You have to know how to write a song if you want to have a career in this contemporary music space. So that's why we started this. And then we were just doing one-on-one coaching. Coach Juliana on my team and I, we were doing one-on-one coaching with a lot of our singers and our students that are interested in songwriting. And the entire 3 years, I was like, this is so fantastic. All of these people are writing amazing songs and they're so happy. And with the results, and I was like, all right, I'm going to turn this into an online course. And then 3 years later, I'm like, wow, I still haven't done this. But this summer, I changed that. So I now created the Songwriting for Singers online course, and we turned it into a cohort, which is what you said before. So when you enroll, you get the Songwriting for Singers course, as well as 8 weeks of group coaching or one-on-one coaching. They can choose whichever one they want to do. And so I'm really excited to do this for the last quarter of the year to really get people the chance to finish the year with at least minimum 2 to 3 songs written, and then start the new year with like, I have the tools now that I need to write a song a week if I want to, or a song a day if you want to go crazy, like you to you, baby. But yeah, they have the tools to start the year off strong, because I think too many people set these New Year's resolutions, right? And they're like, all right, I'm going to go full out with like songwriting or singing or whatever it is. But then they don't have the tools. And then by February, those New Year's resolutions are long gone and you're not doing anything anymore. But if we can already now build up the tools that you need to actually do said New Year's resolution, you can actually stick to it. So yeah, I'm excited to finish off this year with coaching singers and musicians on songwriting so they can get started. And then you asked about the class, the how to write songs you'll actually like. So I decided to kind of kick off this whole cohort and all of that with a free class called How to Write Songs You'll Actually Like. Yay, we like free. And I decided to do this class just to show people that songwriting is not actually as hard as you think it is. You don't need to know how to play an instrument. You don't need to know how to produce a track. You don't need to know any music theory. We can start at like ground zero, right? And I'm going to show you how to write your first song. I'm going to give you all of the tools, and we're going to take a little bit of action as well so you can see, wow, this really isn't that hard. And then the cohort is like, alrighty, like let's dig deep now. Let's actually write some good songs now that you realize it's not that hard. Because I think most people don't ever do anything with their songwriting because they maybe have a lyric idea or like a melody that they're singing, like, I love this. And then they have no clue how to turn it into an actual song. Or maybe they write like the first verse and chorus, but then it stops right there. They don't know what to say in the second verse, and then they get stuck and they have a ton of ideas or unfinished songs and no idea how to actually write complete songs and songs that they like. So I just wanted to host that class to show people it's not as hard as you think it is. Let me just quickly show you how you can do it. And then if you want to dig deeper, that's what the cohort is for.
Okay, very cool. Though I also know that there are probably people listening to this, and also like even colleagues maybe that we
Mhm.
have that would be like, what are you talking about? You need to have music theory knowledge. You need to know how to play an instrument to write a song. I think that there are definitely skeptics out there that would say,
Yes.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So maybe just to give us a little bit of a taste of that masterclass, how do you help beginners get started with writing their own songs, especially when they don't have music theory knowledge or know how to play an instrument?
Yeah. I used to be one of those people. And I was like, how is this possible? You cannot write a song if you don't have the music, right? Like, and how are you going to make the music if you don't know how to write a chord progression? Like, how is this possible? And I vividly remember thinking that in high school. Like I said, I was a music major, right? And there was a songwriting contest I think it was in our senior year. And they have not taught us anything about songwriting at all. They were just like, all right, you all have to. It's mandatory for you to participate in the songwriting contest. Good luck. And my song won. Thank you very much. But there were people in my class, like vocalists who did not play any instruments at all. Now, they had music theory knowledge because we were music majors. We had to learn how to read and, like how to read music and scales and intervals and chords and all that stuff, right? But they didn't actually play an instrument. So I was like, I vividly remember thinking, like, how is Nina, my classmate, going to write a song she doesn't play an instrument? How on earth is she supposed to do this? So again, I totally understand if anybody's thinking this. I used to be in those exact same shoes. Now, fun fact. When I was writing my songs for my album, I didn't actually do the songwriting for my album. I did the top lining for my album. And this is what I teach in our Songwriting for Singers program. Now, I decided to call it Songwriting for Singers and not top lining for singers because most people hear the term top lining and they're like, what? So let me explain. Songwriting consists of three parts: the harmony, which is the chord progression, right? Like whatever the instrument is playing, the piano, the guitar, whatever. It's the chord progression. That's the harmony. Then melody, which is la 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 la, whatever. The lyrics is the third part, right? Whatever the words are sung on, that's the melody. And then the lyrics is the third part. That's songwriting. Top lining is you remove that first part and you only do melody writing and lyric writing, but to a track, not just randomly, but to a track. Now, when I was writing my album, I was in co-writing sessions. So in that session, I was at the studio and there was a producer, Matt Bronley. He is thebomb.com wizard extraordinaire. Love him. Shout out to Matt. He was the producer. And then Kayleigh, my co-writer, and myself. So it was the three of us in the studio. Matt created the track and Kayleigh and I wrote the lyrics and the melodies. And so we were, just in the session, and we're like, all right, what's the song title, and what is the song going to be about? What's the vibe we're shooting for? Do you have any inspirations, like kind of what you want it to sound like? And I was like, yeah, here. And then Matt, the wizard he is, just created the track on the spot in like 15 minutes. Mind blowing, I know. And Kayleigh and I wrote the lyrics and the melody to that track. And it didn't even register in my brain that this is top lining. I didn't know the term top lining back then. And I did not feel like I am not a songwriter because I did not make the chord progression. Because here's the thing, chord progression is the least important part of songwriting. It's the only thing that you cannot copyright. Well, next to the song title. You also cannot copyright the song title. But you can copyright your melodies and you can copyright the lyrics. You can have the same melodies and lyrics with a different chord progression underneath, and it's still the same song, right? The chord progression is interchangeable. The lyrics and the melodies aren't. That changes the song now, right? So, if you're like, well, okay, but now you're cheating, right? Like now you're not actually writing a song. That's not what this is. I'm still doing the most important parts of the song, and it is the industry standard today. Most, like I would say 95% of sessions, like writing sessions that artists go to, they top line. They don't do the chord progression or anything like that. Obviously, there's always exceptions. And yes, it's wonderful if you can play an instrument and you can make your own chord progressions. Our chord progression blueprint is actually a bonus when you sign up for the cohort. So we can teach you chord progressions if you already do play an instrument. But again, that's the least important part of songwriting. Melody and lyrics is where it's at, and that's what we teach you, and that's why you don't need to play an instrument, know how to produce, or know any music theory, because you can create melodies and lyrics without that.
Yes, and wow, it's so interesting to me, you kind of giving all of this insight too. I think that you made an important point too, or bringing up too, the people that you collaborated with on your album and on your songs. Because I think that sometimes, and I'll see this on social media too, where people will critique people like Beyonce or like Sabrina Carpenter because they have like 4, 5, 6 songwriters in the credits. But it's like, these are all the collaborators that go into
Yeah.
making these songs. So, and like, it's really, I mean, it's cool, of course, if you can, I don't know. I feel like Taylor Swift, oftentimes she'll be like the only person listed on her credits, or like she'll have like, there'll be like 1 or 2 songwriters on her tracks and whatnot. So it's like, it's cool if you can do that. But it's like, you really don't have to. And I think that collaboration is so important in the
Yeah.
music industry, in songwriting. And so I think it's really cool how with this masterclass, with this cohort, it's like people are getting real firsthand experience of like, okay, if you want to go into the music industry, if you want to make your own music, these are maybe some of the things that you're actually going to be doing. So I think it's really cool how people would be getting this real life experience, you know?
Yeah.
Now, maybe let's sort of talk about, okay, we're talking about how sometimes people don't play an instrument, sometimes they don't have that music theory knowledge, and those can be maybe obstacles or perceived obstacles to writing songs. But what are some of the other most common fears or roadblocks or struggles that you've
Okay.
seen songwriters face? You know, things like my lyrics sound cliche. I've certainly heard that
Yeah.
from students that, you know, I will sort of mentor, or I certainly have some students that they'll like get started writing something and they just have so many different ideas that they'll kind of half finish something and then move on to the next thing, and they maybe have problems with finishing a song.
Yeah.
How do you help people like that push through and kind of get something concrete?
Yeah, absolutely. And just real quick about the instrument and music theory knowledge, right? Like those are bonuses, like our music theory course and our chord progression blueprint. Like we're not going to teach you how to play piano, but if you play piano, we can teach you how to make chord progressions, right? So those are bonuses that are included if you enroll. So even if you want to learn about that, we can help you with that. But to answer your other question, okay, so yes, lots of different things that people get stuck on, but to just address the two that you mentioned, the first one, which is my lyrics are cliche. They're not meaningful. Like I feel like I'm not really like expressing myself the right way, or it seems like a third grader wrote these lyrics and it's just not it. That was me. Oh my God. My lyrics were so bad when I started out. Here's the song that I wrote when this was for my senior project in high school. So I was not a little kid when I wrote this. I was a senior in high school, but again, never had any songwriting coaching. And this is not the song that won the songwriting contest in high school. This is a different one. This is the one for my senior project. And it goes like this. I'm a little girl in my own world. I mess around, but I still feel the ground, and this is my sound. This is my story. I'm not sorry for who I am. That's the chorus. This is my story. I'm not sorry for who I am. Like, girl, what are you? No.
I mean, it's cute. It's cute.
But see, that's it, right? It's cute. It's like, yeah, a little girl wrote this, right? Like, it's not this thing where, it turns into a hit song or whatever, right? And uh and so I can very much relate to I'm a terrible lyricist. I was never a good writer. German's my first language. I barely passed German in school because I was a terrible writer. And my English vocabulary is limited because I didn't grow up speaking English. This is a language I learned in school and in real life. But so, I have like all of these limiting beliefs and thoughts around me. I'm not a good writer. I'm not a poet. English is my second language. I have a limited vocabulary, blah, 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 right? So you tell yourself all these things. I can't, I can't, I can't, or I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad. But it's really not as hard as you think it is to write lyrics that mean something to you, right? So I think a lot of people underestimate what lyrics really are about. Some people are like, I just want to sound clever, right? But that's not really what good lyrics are. Good lyrics tell a story and it's meaningful. It means something and people can relate to it. It doesn't necessarily need to be clever. Now, it's awesome if it's clever too, but it doesn't have to be. And so over the years of being a terrible lyricist, I, picked up all these little tips and tricks and blah, 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 and developed a 4-step lyric writing formula. And every time I follow that formula, I can finish my song, which, answers your other question, like, how do you help people who get stuck? Like they have ideas and they start, but they can't finish. If you follow a framework, it is so easy to finish your songs. You just got to go step by step by step by step by step. And each step that you complete makes the next step easier. And then it's really not hard to finish your songs if you just have a framework that you can follow. And that's what we teach people, the framework. You can change the framework to whatever it is you want it to be, like adjust it, move some steps around. If you feel like, you want to do this other step first and then this other thing, you can customize it to your own needs. But you at least have a step-by-step system that you can follow to start your song and finish your song, like the entire process. And the lyric writing formula is a part of this process. So not only does it help you finish your songs, but it also helps you write lyrics that actually mean something to you, that tell a story. It makes it easier to finish your song, like lyric wise. And we also give you some tips and tricks on how to make it sound a little bit more clever too, if you want to do that.
That sounds exciting. And I think it really boils down to having systems,
Yes.
having some, like, I know sometimes with us musician and artist types, sometimes we're averse to structure and like we just kind of want to go with the flow and
Yeah.
see where things take us. And I think sometimes it really helps to have sort of, okay, like for me, for example, if I'm writing a song, I like if I, for example, if the lyrics come to me first, I'm like, okay, we're gonna sort of create this structure of verse, pre-chorus, chorus, so on and so forth. Okay, I've got my structure. Now I'm going to work on this and this and this. So it's like having these steps in place that you can follow, I think is really important.
Yes.
Um, I
Because
would
when you
love,
have it in
yeah.
place, sorry, real quick, and then we
No,
can
go
get to
ahead.
your next question. But having that framework in place, having that foundation, then makes it a lot easier to be in flow, right? And like to just rely on, like, I'm just going to go with the flow, right? When you
Yep.
have the system and you've practiced the system, you are then more likely to just be in flow and you can just finish it because you've been practicing it. You can't expect to be in flow from day one when you have no clue what you're doing. It's just not how it works. Sorry to burst your bubble. But yeah, you learn the system so that you are more likely to be in flow. It's like, you know how people say motivation follows discipline?
Hmm.
Flow follows the system.
Ooh,
I
I
literally
like
just
that a
came up with
lot.
this. Like, quote it, clip it, make a clip out of this.
Flow follows system, right? Because I think we need a little bit of both. We need that balance
Yeah.
with so many things in life, but especially if you're trying to get something concrete, like a song written or a piece of art made or a song recorded. And so that's what I think is so cool about, the things that you guys provide, both in the masterclass and the cohort. And I also know that you guys have a little PDF guide, a recording ready
Yes.
PDF guide, which, you include that. I think some of that is like free with like a code that, I think, right?
Yes.
That's the code.
Yes.
Okay, so like
Yep.
people can get that for free with my code that'll be in the show description. But I also know that people can purchase a VIP ticket to the masterclass.
Yes.
And I would love to hear more about like this recording ready. Like, what does recording ready mean? Because I think like some people will see that and it's like, okay, that just kind of sounds like a marketing cliche or some like marketing language. So like,
Yeah.
let's get specific here. How do
Okay.
you introduce the recording side of things to students who are just starting out? Because we're talking about the songwriting process, okay? Like, let's say somebody has their song written, it's like, I think that sometimes, I mean, and I see that in my own students too. Like, I can think of one student in particular who it's like she'll have the song written and ready to go. And then it's just kind of, pulling the trigger on recording it that it's like,
Yeah.
so kind of what is in that PDF and kind of how does that go hand in hand with the masterclass you guys offer?
Yes. Okay. So there's two different PDFs. There's one is the songwriting framework PDF, which is the one that like it breaks down our system essentially. So you could just get the PDF and you have our system and you can just plug and play. Uh, again, it's high level. It's a 10,000 foot overview of the system. The cohort dives deep into it. But that's the one that they can download with your code. That's, usually we charge a
Ooh.
couple bucks for it,
Yeah.
but they can get it for free with your code. That's the songwriting framework PDF. Then the one you're talking about is the recording ready PDF, which is a bonus if they get the VIP ticket for the live class, right? So the VIP ticket gets them the recording of the live class if they can't make it live. Attending live is free, but if you want the recording, it's the VIP ticket, a VIP only Q&A session. The songwriting framework is also a bonus, and the recording ready is a bonus. So, you could choose to just get the VIP ticket, and then you don't have to get the other thing with
Man,
the code.
you guys are offering so many goodies to people. This all
Girl,
sounds
we
so
try.
exciting.
We be trying over here. We be trying. And so, okay, what is the recording ready guide? So the recording ready guide is designed for vocalists, right? Not necessarily for songwriters, but for vocalists. And so what it means is it walks you through whether you sing an original or like record an original or a cover, it doesn't matter, but it walks you through how to prepare for the recording session and what to expect when you're in the studio. How do you communicate with your audio engineer or with your producer so that you get all the things that you need, so that you feel comfortable, that you can hear yourself well, that you get the takes that you want and all of that stuff, right? So it just walks you through the entire process, and it's a little checklist so you can make sure, I'm bringing my water bottle, I'm bringing my lyric sheet, right? And also, again, like I'm preparing well and blah, 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 blah. So that's just like a little checklist to make sure you're ready. And that also goes for if you're recording yourself at home, right? Not just in the studio, but also, how do you prepare to record yourself at home? Now, more bonuses. We like to over deliver over here. But when you enroll in the cohort, you're not just getting the songwriting for singers course and the cohort, and the music theory for singers and the chord progression blueprint, but also recording vocals for singers course. So this is where we teach you how to professionally record your vocals at home. Remember how we teach top lining in the course? So you already have the track. So the music's already all done and it already sounds amazing. Now we just got to record the thing that you top lined over it, right? The vocals, the lyrics, and the melody. And so when you sign up on day one, we send you the microphone, we send you the interface, we send you headphones, like we send you everything you need to plug the stuff in and actually record your vocals. Again, we're trying to
Oh
make
my
this as
God,
stupid as
wow.
easy as possible. Yeah, well, I don't want you to have an excuse not to do it, right? Like, I don't want you to get stuck. Like, you start and then you're like, oh, I don't have the microphone, so now I can't do it. And then you're stuck and you're not continuing. Like, no, like, I want you to succeed with this. So let me make it as easy as possible for you. So if they enroll on day one, which is October 14th and October 15th, because it launches October 14th at night. So we gave them October 15th as well. If they enroll on October 15th, they get the recording equipment sent to them. The course is included either way, but the equipment is only included on day one. But anyways, the course teaches you how to record vocals like what you would do at a studio, but for free at home because studio time is very expensive, right? So we teach you how to use a DAW, a DAW, a digital audio workstation, which would be something like GarageBand or Logic or Pro Tools. You pick whichever one you want to use. There's free trials to all of them. And so we walk you through it. You learn how to record the main vocal. Then we comp it together, right? We have all these different takes. And so we take the best parts from all these different takes. That's called comping. And then we edit that vocal. We do some auto tuning. Don't be scared. Everybody does it. It's industry standard. Don't go crazy on me. Okay. Thank you very much. And, just cleaning up that main vocal. Then we teach you how to add harmonies, how to add doubles, how to do ad libs, all of the above. And then we also teach you how to add like all these different plugins like EQ, reverb, delay to make it sound better. And also how to mix it, like if you have all these different harmonies and all that stuff to make sure the levels are all right, all that. Like literally, it's kind of like a mini vocal production course, essentially.
Yeah,
But
I was
it
gonna
is
say, I
very
was
beginner
like,
friendly.
there's so much in there that is just like, it sounds so cool and so exciting. And I feel like you're really giving a behind the scenes look to just how you make and produce music in this day and
Yeah.
age, which, back in the day, you would have to go into the studio, book studio time with a producer and like record and things like that. And what is so cool about, the last 25 years or so and how technology has evolved, we can do a lot of this stuff at home.
For way
And
cheaper.
yes, for way cheaper. And it's like, You mentioned too auto-tune. I really don't think a lot of people understand all of what goes into making and recording a song because
Mhm.
you still see critiques of like, oh, so and so is using auto-tune on that track, or like I think of Charlie XCX. I love Charlie XCX and her music. And people will be like, oh, well, she's using auto-tune. It's like, well, duh, that's like part of her whole brand and all of her like kind of that's like part of her sound too. But it's just like,
Yeah.
I think that people really have no idea what goes into making this stuff. And it's like, it, one, doesn't have to be, I mean, the big thing really is that it doesn't have to be complicated.
Mhm.
And I do think sometimes, like, I don't know, I was listening to you sort of detail everything that's included here. I can see maybe some people feeling a little overwhelmed, like, oh my God, there's just so much to think
So much.
about and
Yeah.
so much to do. And I guess what I would love to hear from you is like considering all of this, taking all of this into account. What is one of the most rewarding breakthroughs that you've seen from a songwriting student? Someone who's taking maybe all of these things that you guys have taught, maybe previously one on one, and that you guys are maybe now putting into this cohort. Well, kind of going back to what I was just saying with like your one on one work with students. Like, I mean, I guess because I can see maybe people saying, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of doing all of this stuff? Like, there's so much involved here. Like, what's the
Mhm.
point of putting in this work? And I guess I would love to hear, like, maybe one of the stories from clients, students, songwriting
Yeah.
students that you guys have worked with where they put in that work, they did all of these things, and this
Yeah.
is kind of what happened going from point A to point B.
Yeah. And I understand, like, it does sound like, oh my gosh, there's so much I'm going to have to do. I don't have the time for this, right? It's, it sounds a lot more complicated and time consuming than it really is. Learning a new skill is going to take a little bit of time at first, sure. But the more you do it, the easier it gets and the faster you get at it. And then it's like, alrighty, like it's just a part of your life now. It's just what you do. But there's a few stories that I can think of, and I would like to share two if that's okay, because different people have different goals. All right, some people are in this because they want to have a career. So let me maybe give an example around that. One of the first people we worked on, like we worked with in the Songwriting for Singers program back in 2022, the program the way it is now. Um, Her name's Persia. She is from Australia. She enrolled when she was still at college, but she was basically at the Australian version of Berkeley. So, like, girl could sing circles around me. Like, wow, incredible vocalist. But she was only ever the background vocalist for her friends at school because she didn't have an artist project. She wanted to, but she had no idea where to start. And we were working together and she wrote a couple songs, and she graduated within 8 weeks, right? She graduated and she said, Lara, let's be real. Without this, I wouldn't have written anything because there's no accountability, right? I wouldn't have done anything. And I'm, like enrolled at one of the best music schools where I could just, go take a songwriting class or whatever. But I wouldn't have written anything had it not been for this program and for this accountability. And now she's releasing music under her own artist project. She has tens of thousands of streams on her music. She is on popular radio stations in Australia and is performing under her solo project, not as just a background vocalist for other people. Now, I'm not pooping on background vocalists. That's a very hard job, and we need people to do it. And I love all the background vocalists that I know. But if you want to have a solo career, it's different, right? So, anyways, she's launched her career now, and again, she wasn't in school for songwriting; she was in school for performance, and that prepared her to be the best singer possible. But it didn't prepare her to actually turn this into a career. That's what the songwriting program did, because now she can write songs and feel like she can express herself. So that's like one story. If like you want to do music as a career, you have to know how to write songs. That's what we help you with. Alternatively, if having a career as a musician isn't your goal, but you would just love to find a way to express yourself, Catherine is somebody that comes to mind for me, that we worked with as well. oh my gosh, during her last session, she actually cried and she said, like, it's me on a song. And that is incredible. Like, I can now share this with people if I want to and just tell my truth and be seen and be heard. And she was crying. I was like, stop it. You're going to make me cry. This is so beautiful. And so, yeah, it's just, giving yourself permission to be seen and to be heard and sharing yourself with the world or not, even if you just do it for yourself, right? But yeah, just feel like, wow, I have a new way to truly fulfill my emotional needs and express my emotional needs and my stories. So that was beautiful. I love that too.
And honestly, I feel like that, I mean, it's really, really special that you had, I think it was, her name is Persia, you mentioned. I think it's really, really special that, you have people that go on to do these careers and things like that. But even I was thinking recently, I was like, what am I going to leave this world? Like, not to get
Mhm.
like super
Yeah.
philosophical, but it's like, I don't know. I think sometimes we think about our legacy and like what we put out there in the world and kind of what will last even after we're gone. And I like, not to, again, not to sound too morbid, but I think, I don't know, it's like that is forever. Like you write and record something that is so special, that is you, and that is out there forever. Like, I mean, I
Mhm.
guess for both the good and the bad, but it's like, I don't know. I think that feels really, really special to me more
Yeah.
than anything else, is hearing that story in particular. So that is really, really beautiful. Uh, my last sort of formal question here: if you could give one practical piece of advice to a brand new songwriter who doesn't believe that they're musical, what would it be? But they maybe really want to share their story and put themselves out there in this way.
All right. First thing you're going to do is you're going to sit down and make the choice to write a song. Okay. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to do it. So you're just going to make the choice to take the next however many minutes or hours you want to set aside. You're just going to make the choice and you're going to do it. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull up YouTube and you're going to type in your favorite artist's name and then type beat. And then you're going to scroll through some of these tracks that are on there and you pick one that speaks to you and then just sing. Just sing to that track, make up some melodies, have fun, explore. If something comes to you, great. If you keep repeating the same thing, great. Just do. Don't judge yourself. Just do. And then put some words to it. And you just have to make the choice to do it and then do it. And everything else is brownie points, right? Like the framework that we can teach you, awesome. Like now you can actually get good at it, right? But most people just don't ever make the choice to actually do it. They have the desire to do it, but they don't make the choice to do it.
Yes, yes. And I think that what you really speak to there with getting on YouTube, finding a beat that's kind of
Mhm.
inspired by your favorite artist, that's practice. If you want to get better at this stuff, if you want to put something out there, it helps to practice this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just like we say, practice with your singing. And like, if you want to get better at your singing, you have to practice it. The same thing goes for songwriting. So I think that that is so important. And you're exactly right, where I think a lot of people are like, oh, I wish, I really want to, but it's like, okay, you have to take the first step. And it really doesn't have
Yes.
to be a big step. It just has to be something, right?
Yeah. And
Um,
I'm one of those people, like, if I don't know what it's going to look like, it is really difficult for me to take that first step because I'm afraid of overwhelm. And I'm like, oh, I don't need another thing on my plate. Like, I literally, these last couple weeks, I have been in front of my computer from 6 a.m. to at least 10 p.m. every day, preparing for this songwriting for singers cohort, right? And I'm really excited about it. I'm not complaining. I'm loving it. But I'm a busy friggin' woman, okay? And I don't want things on my plate that are gonna take up too much time. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Maybe you have children, maybe you have two jobs. Like, everybody is busy. But if something is important to me, I will make the choice to do it in a way that's as easy for me as possible. In my world, that means I'm going to invest into a mentor or an online course or something where it's gonna just tell me how to do it so I don't have to figure it out on my own. Because for me, my time is more valuable than however much that costs me to, learn it quicker. Because oh my gosh, what's the star sign called? I know it in German. I'm a
Oh,
uh born in April. What is it?
April is like Aries and Taurus,
Aries.
basically.
Aries.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice.
Aries.
Oh,
So
I can see
I'm an
that.
Aries, and if things don't go my way from day one, I just throw it in the corner and I do the next thing, right? And so I know that about myself. So I make sure that I have the tools that I need to succeed at that thing so I don't quit before I even get started. Now, not everybody is that way, but that's just me. So yeah, just get started. Yes. And if you're the kind of person who's like, no, I just need somebody to tell me what to do and how to do it, then it might be good to join a program or do a course or invest into a mentor or whatever so that you're actually going to see it through. This is actually also why it's a cohort and not just an online course, because too many people buy an online course and then never do anything with it. And so we're like, no, 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 we're not going to let you do that. We're actually going to hold your hand through the entire thing so that you actually are going to take action, right? And not just say I'm going to and spend the money on it, but then not do anything with it, right? Like, no, 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 we're going to walk you through
Yep.
it and we're going to see it through.
Yes. Oh, love it, love it, love it. All right. All right. Lara, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Oh my God, you're making me nervous. Let's do it.
All right. So my first one that I ask everybody is coffee or tea?
Oh, tea, way, all the way. I don't drink coffee.
What kind of tea?
Well, that really depends. I have friends in Taiwan, and whenever they visit, they bring me Taiwanese green and black tea. It is so friggin' good. Love, 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 love. If I don't want the caffeine, just like a chamomile or a rooibos tea. I don't know how to say it
Yeah,
in English.
yeah, don't ask me how to pronounce it. I'm like, I think I've also like been like rooibos. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Awesome. What is a song that you've been listening to on repeat recently?
Girl, I don't listen to music.
Woo.
I know. I know. I'm in and around music every day, all day.
I get that.
I don't want to spend my pastime listening to music, but I can tell you some songs that in the last couple months I've listened to a lot. Maybe
Yes.
not the last week, but the last couple months. There's this oh my gosh, what is it called? Stand Up, maybe? I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. It's a title song for a
I think I know the
movie.
song.
Um, what's her name? Elphaba in the movie?
Cynthia Erivo?
Yes, thank you. I
Yes.
was like, it's not Erica, but it's
It's not
something close
Idina
to that.
Menzel.
So she's the one singing it, and that vocal performance is, oh my God, is so good. So that's a song I really love. Or Teddy Swims, Some Things I'll Never Know. It's also a beautiful, beautiful
Nice.
song. Mhm.
Okay, cool. But I totally can relate to not wanting to listen to music outside of work sometimes. Like, I feel like sometimes I get at the end of the day and I just want silence. Like, I love
Yeah.
music, I love singing, but sometimes it's just like sensory overload at times.
Yes, yes. And when I'm
Um,
in the car, I actually listen to video game music.
Whoa, that's really
Mhm.
cool. That's so
No
interesting.
vocals because then I'm
Yeah.
working.
And then you're
You know,
thinking and
like
analyzing.
Stardew Valley or Zelda or, like something
Oh, yeah.
beautiful, not like aggressive, like just,
Yeah.
something cute. And yeah, that's usually and then I listen to like remixes of those. And so,
Oh, that's
yeah.
really cool.
Usually my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year is like video game music or the occasional song that I needed to work on with a student or whatever. But it's
That
all
is
like
really
Stardew
funny.
Valley and Zelda.
That is a
Whoopsie.
hoot. Oh my gosh. What is the best place you've traveled to?
Oh, the Seychelles. Oh my God. So
Oh,
beautiful.
nice. Wow.
Mhm.
What is your favorite fall activity since we're moving into fall?
I am not a fall girly.
That's
I am
totally
like
okay.
not the typical basic white girl. Like, pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin spice everything and apple picking and going to pick pumpkins and all that stuff. No, I don't mind that. I think it's nice. But what I do like is when the weather gets cooler and you're inside, snuggled up under the blanket, watching a movie or playing some video games or something like that. I
Yes.
would say that's probably my favorite, but I also do that in the other seasons too. So
I love that.
but it just feels vibey because it's raining and gray and gross
Yes.
outside.
Yes, I
It's
think
nice.
like the weather is a big thing that I love. So yes, can totally relate to that. What is your favorite game to play when you kind of want to be cozy?
Yeah, Zelda. Breath of the Wild
Nice.
or the new
Zelda.
one. Yes, I love Zelda. It's so cute. It's so beautiful. The music's great. It's not super violent. Like, sure, you fight little
Yeah.
piggies and lizards, but like, there's no gore or anything. Like, I don't like that. Or then if I want to feel productive, I play Stardew Valley.
Nice. Very cool. What is the best piece of advice, singing or life advice, that you've ever received from like maybe one of your mentors or parents, friends?
One thing that comes to mind, and because probably because this is recent, I was interviewing Friedemann Findeisen. He's an amazing songwriting coach. His company is called Holistic Songwriting. He's out in Germany. That's why the German name, Friedemann Findeisen. So we were talking about songwriting, and he said that he was talking to his mom when he was young, very young, like teens, right? And his mom is an author. And he asked her, Mom, how are you not scared that you're going to run out of ideas? Right? Because when you write, like you need ideas to write. And she said, Look, when you're your age, you're worried that you're going to run out of ideas. When you're my age, you're worried that you're not going to have enough time on this earth to get all your ideas out there. And so that's just a beautiful way to tell people take action now, because it's so easy for us to be like, yeah, I want to do this and I'll get to it when I have the time. We never have the time to do anything, right?
Yeah.
He also talked about the difference between importance and urgency. And most people only ever focus on the things that are urgent, like I have to reply to this email right now, or I have to pay this bill right now, and not the things that are important. Urgency is outside factors, like other people depend on you to do that thing. That's what makes it urgent. Importance is internal. It is important to me to learn about songwriting. It is important to me to sing. And most people focus on the urgent stuff, not the important stuff. And that's why they're unhappy. Focus on the important stuff and worry about the urgent stuff later, because there's a fair chance it's not actually as urgent as you tell yourself that it is.
Yeah, that is a beautiful piece of advice. I really like that a lot. Well, thank you, Lara, for coming on the No Wrong Notes podcast. It was a blast talking
Yes.
to you.
Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry that wasn't really rapid fire anything. I'm
It's okay.
terrible at that.
It's okay. I literally feel like every guest is like, wait, I need to think about this. So
Yes.
it's totally okay.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I hope this was helpful to your listeners. And yeah, you have the code. So go download the free thing because
Yes.
get it for free because of Veronica. It's not usually free.
We love free over here.
We
Yay.
do. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right, that is it, y'all, for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Lara. The songwriting for singers cohort that she mentioned in the episode that her and her staff will be leading starts in just a few weeks, and I highly recommend checking that out at the link in the show description. Lara and her coaches know what they are talking about, y'all. In the meantime, grab your free copy, as I mentioned at the beginning, of the Songwriting Framework PDF using my code in the show description. And you have to use my code because I think Lara normally sells this for like $27 and you're getting it for free. All right, guys. Happy singing, y'all.